I am so excited to be able to tell you this story. This is one of my favorite stories. I'm getting goosebumps right now just thinking about how wonderful this story is and how inspiring it is for me and for the people that I've shared it with. There are hundreds of millions of documents and pages on the internet about leadership. Google the word leadership and you're just overwhelmed by an avalanche of stuff. But during my career, I think I've learned the secret of leadership. And I learned it through two people. The first was a guy by the name of Phil Waugh. And Phil Waugh is a famous rugby player in Australia. He captained the Wallabies, our national team. He's captained the Waratahs, the team of New South Wales, for many years. He's a wonderful player. And I was having dinner with a group that he was speaking at, and he was sitting next to me, and I said, Phil, how do you every Saturday, when you go out onto the field with the same team Saturday after Saturday, how do you inspire that team to follow your leadership and to do what you want them to do? And he said to me, he said, look, I found it's quite simple. The habit that you've got to develop is to be on your own game. You must do what you want others to do. You need to lead by example, be on your own game. If I'm saying to my team, said Phil, I need you to get to the breakdown first and to get the ball out first, then I have to get there first and I have to be doing it. If I say to my team, you've got to tackle harder, you've got to make those tackles count, then I've got to be the guy that is tackling ferociously and leading by example. And I love that. Lead by example. Be on your own game. Make that a habit for a lifetime, whether you're running a team, an account, an office, a region, or yourself. Be on your own game. And nothing demonstrated this idea more to me than a lesson I learned from a chief executive of Microsoft in Australia in the 90s, early 90s. And this guy was an outstanding salesman. That was his core skill, and that is what had led him up through the ranks at Microsoft at a time when Microsoft was a dominant force in the way business was going around the world. And he told me this story. He said, you know, I'm a sales guy, but now I lead Microsoft Australia. But nevertheless, every year I go back to New Zealand on holiday. And I take one day out for my holiday and I go and buy a few boxes of apricots and I pack them in the back of my car. I drive through the suburbs and I park at the end of a long street. And then I give myself a time limit. From whatever time of day it is until it gets dusk, I go door to door down that street, knocking on the door and trying to sell trays of apricots. And by dusk, I need to have sold the entire bootload. He said, in this way, I hone my skills. I keep myself on my own game. I ensure that I am in touch with what it is like to sell in the hardest forum of sales. Selling apricots door to door in a suburban street in New Zealand. Isn't that great? Stephen Covey, in his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, talks about one of the habits being sharpen the saw. And I would say this, to lead and to lead professional services firms, we need to lead by example. We need to be on our own game. We need to continually sharpen the saw of our technical skills to show the people that work with us that we know how to drive new business. We have the courage to have a tough conversation with a client. We can still be powerful ideas people, that we know what it's like to implement in an outstanding fashion the work that they do and in a fashion that we want them to do it. I hope you've enjoyed that story. I've always loved it. Thank you.